All right. Hello again. Welcome to the Trainer's Digest, your podcast, well, soon to be podcast right now, just YouTube series about personal training and general fitness given to you by personal trainers. My name is Joseph Fine.
My name is Nate Clark.
And Nate Clark. And we are happy to have you guys here, happy to have you guys listening, all five of you who have listened to our first episode.
Like, hi, friends and family.
Yeah, friends and family that listened to the episode, most definitely. We did get some feedback, so this is great. This is we love feedback, and we've gotten some feedback from people who've seen our video so far. We are going to make our video shorter. So that was the main thing so far that we've gotten.
The big takeaway was shut up.
Yeah, the big takeaway was don't talk so much. No, yeah. So yeah, just to let you guys know, no more than 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, so an hour 15 is, yeah, you're right. It is a little bit long, the video to be watching on YouTube, but that's okay. We'll definitely be able to fit everything we want to talk about into 30 to 45 minutes. I won't promise there won't ever be an hour-long episode again, especially if we have like a special guest or something, a very, very intense or a broader topic, something very important that we want to talk about. But it won't be very often, okay? So you guys don't have to worry about that.
We're trying to get Elon Musk right now, but he's not answering our emails.
I know. I think he blocked me. I really think he blocked me. I sent him like 5 DMs a day for the last week.
But like, what's like Tesla's stance on, intermittent fasting or something, right?
I was honestly hoping that he would come out with some kind of Tesla related exercise equipment,
Right.
some kind of really high end.
Dude, whatever they use on like the space station or whatever, yeah, that'd be pretty sick.
Right, exactly. Nah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know if Elon Musk will be quite as willing to join our podcast, but dreams come true. Things happen, so it could potentially, but probably not. Anyway, so Nate, tell me a little bit about your week so far. The people want to know what you're up to. I want to know what you're up to. So,
well, if the people are asking, then I will concede. So I don't know, my week's been pretty chill. I was like, they're in the middle, kind of like rescheduling some of my stuff at work. Right now I'm working probably about like, well, I guess sort of technically 3 jobs. Between training, working at a PT clinic, and then also working with like direct care, kind of like working with people with disabilities and stuff like that. Like, I'm pretty dang busy with work. So lately it's been kind of a question of, well, I don't know, just kind of doing a lot of things. Actually, hey Joe, you still there? Looks like we lost Joe. I'll keep on talking.
I
Hey, there we
thought I
go.
lost you.
Yeah, no, there we go. We're good.
That's okay. We'll cut that. We'll cut that.
We will. I think I still have a recording, so we're good.
Okay, perfect.
But yeah, no. So I don't know. It's been really funny because like my phone is like, well, it's getting old. I'm not gonna lie, it's getting really old, and it's like the charging port is starting to go out on me, and it it's like really funny. So like I have to, like, right now you can't see, it's out of the shot, but like I literally have my phone plugged in, and then there's like a water bottle like weighing it down to try and keep it like at the right angle so that it continues to charge. It's like super scuffed and messed up. But I'm gonna probably go phone shopping tomorrow and finally get it replaced. I've been so it's an iPhone 6s, so it's like it's pretty old. So
I
I'm
think
like,
that's an iPhone 6s problem because one of my phones I had, about 3 or 4 years ago was a 6s, and it had the exact same problem.
oh, the charging
I
port
kid you
going out.
not. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
So like you have to like you stick it in, and then you have to hold it in like a specific position, and then
Yeah.
gently set it down, hoping that it stays in that
Cross
position.
your fingers.
Yeah, and then if you see the charging symbol go off,
Oh yeah, it's been quite an emotional roller coaster. Not gonna lie.
I
Um,
feel it.
but
But
yeah, no.
I'm also going phone shopping, so
Oh,
maybe
fun.
we can get on a Zoom call, go
Oh,
together.
there you go. There you go. What you gonna get?
I'm gonna get the 12 Pro Max.
Oh, are you really? Oh man, he's going all out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to flex on anybody. That's not at all.
Guys,
I want.
everyone knows he's definitely flexing. I
I,
can tell by your face. You can't deny it.
honestly, it's a curse. I try to go for the most high end stuff, and I really shouldn't because I have the iPhone 10, um, but it just crapped out on me after 12 years. Or
Yeah,
12, 2 years, sorry. It
it's kind of what it
hasn't been
feels
out
like
for 12
sometimes.
years.
It's
Yeah, yeah, for
like
real. No,
that's
it
how it
literally,
feels about this one.
yeah, I financed that phone, 12-year payment plan. Literally, around the time I paid it off, the screen shuts off and it doesn't come back on.
And
It
to
was
fix an iPhone,
bizarre.
it's like $1 million too. It's
Oh,
like
yeah. No, they literally they wanted to charge me like $500 to fix it.
what the heck?
Yeah, and I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna downgrade, and then I'll just get a new phone,
Yeah,
when the new one comes out." Because, it was that was, like, 2 months ago, so not too much longer till the newest phone came out, and so, yeah.
yeah.
So I understand your pain, I feel it, you know,
Mhm.
listeners out there who are listening, they feel your pain,
Oh yeah.
they've gone through it.
Well, cool. Well, today I think we wanted to talk a little bit about goals, right?
Yeah, yeah, we
Okay,
did, so
tell me a little bit about that, Joe.
So today we want to talk a little about specifically the why, the what, and the how to goals. So, goals are quite, they can be pretty simple, but they aren't usually quite as simple as, if you're wanting to reach your goal, that is, and if you're wanting to reach it effectively, it's not quite as simple as like, okay, um, I'm going to gain 25 pounds and I'm not really going to plan out how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to reach 25 pounds. You have to really reach deep within yourself. You have to figure out, why you're reaching 25 pounds. What is it that's motivating you to reach those 25 pounds, or lose those 25 pounds? You have to look at the steps that it's going to take to reach that goal, lose or gain those 25 pounds. And then you have to do your research. You have to look deep into it. Assess yourself, things like that. What do you have to add to that? Your
Um,
take?
well, so I mean, kind of what we're looking at, and this is one of the things that we were kind of talking about as we were kind of prepping for this is so there's I mean, we divided goal setting into three sections. So very definitively there was the why, there was the vision or essentially the what, um, and then the how. And with starting with the why, one of the things that we were talking about a little bit is just, like, I mean, first of all, how to establish your why and like, what you're doing. Because one of the things that I think that one of the biggest mistakes that people first make, um, when they first start like working out, regardless of whether or not you're like super, super early on, like never touched a weight before, or like, you're, 20 years in the making and you've been going and going and going. Um, I feel like not enough people start off thinking about like as intently enough as on their why, because a lot of people can, they look in the mirror and they say, hey, you know what, I want to lose like 10, 15 pounds or something like that, or I want to be able to lift this much or that much or other things like that. But I think a lot of people like don't realize the why behind that why, whatever that thing is. And this is actually something that um it's really really stuck with me, when another one of our trainers, we were in this training meeting, and I actually can't, I think it was oh, what was her name? She was over all the studio classes.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't quite remember her name either.
Ginny.
Ginny?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
Ginny.
yeah. So she asked one of the trainers. She sat down and she said, "Hey, like, so, why do you, or what's a goal you have?" And one of the trainers that was working with us, she's like, "Oh, I want to be able to like squat 225." And she was like, "Okay, so but why do you want to squat 225?" And she's like, "Cause I'll feel strong and I'll like look strong and all those kinds of things." And then she's like, "Oh, but like, why do you want to like look and feel those ways?" And she was like, "Well, I think part of it is that I want the sense of control that will come from having that, having accomplished that goal and being able to set my mind to it and stuff like that." And I was like, "That's a why right there." It's like you want to be able to like exercise control, and that's manifested by this thing. I don't know. I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on that.
So, kind of I feel like to piggyback on a little bit of what you're saying, the deeper you can go with the why, the better. And the more motivation that you will find with that will help you to reach your goal in the end, you
Mhm.
know? And so, just like you were saying, you ask yourself why, look and feel strong. And then you ask yourself, why do you want to look and feel strong? Because, you'll have that sense of accomplishment. And then you could even try and go a little bit deeper. Why do you want to feel that sense of accomplishment? And then, XYZ, things like that. And so I feel like the deeper you go into your why, the more motivated you will feel to reach that goal. The more effort you will put into, and we'll talk a little about SMART goals, a little bit in a bit. But the more you'll put into those SMART goals, the more effort you're gonna put into the preparation.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really the foundation that helps people to uh, reach those goals.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and it's just like I think they like I don't know. I mean, I think they like we could probably take forever talking about like the why. I mean, as someone who's just long-winded with everything I say,
Mhm.
um, like like I could go on forever about that. I could spend a 3-hour podcast to just me talking about the why. Um,
I
but
won't
like for
let you
the
do that.
but for the sake of simplicity, like I mean, like I'll just say this. Like think that there's a lot more that like I think us as trainers, us as just people working out, just people in general, like honestly, like if you're just setting a goal at like for like, just trying to get something done at the end of the day when you're like, oh, I'm coming home from work and I don't want to, keep on going. Like if I get home at like, 9 at night from something all day and I'm just like tired, I want to get off my feet. Like what kinds of goals do you need to set that will help you stay in tune with that why and really like tap into kind of the bedrock of, because I think I mean, it's just like, regardless of how ambitious and how like emotionally connected your goals are, in the moment, um, there's gonna come times when you can't really like. I mean, you'll forget that, and I feel like there always needs to be kind of like a bedrock foundation that you feel you can say like, and almost like you almost like are kind of like latching into when you start off that you say, hey, like this is what I'm going to hold on to. And when it gets hard, I'm going to be able to look at that and say, like, this is what I'm fighting for. This is what I like really, really believe in and care about. Because no one, like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you, but like, I've never been like, I want to be like, I want to weigh like 190 and like have it be like healthy weight and like when I'm like super super like pissed off or I'm stressed or I'm like really really tired, I'm not like I really want to weigh not like 190. It's like I want to feel like I want to feel empowered. I want to feel like I'm amazing. I'm in charge of my life. Like I'm not letting life take control of me. Those kinds of things. I don't know.
Yeah. So and to kind of put it in my own words, those deeper whys become your initial whys.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the deeper you dig to find the why behind the why, then eventually that why behind the why becomes your why.
Yeah.
And instead of, yeah, just like you use the example of, instead of wanting to weigh 190, it's because you want to feel empowered. A leads to B, things like that. You want to, that becomes your why. Now instead of being 190, you now want to be empowered. So that's going to be your driving factor. And those, you're going to do whatever it takes to be empowered.
Mhm.
And which I feel like would produce lots of more benefits than just getting yourself to 190.
Yeah.
So again, the why behind the why, just like Nate said before, it's an extensive topic. It's the bedrock, the foundation. Probably the most important part of setting your goals is finding the why behind
Yeah. And before we go droning on too long, because I know I will have to stop myself.
the why.
Um, Joe, tell me a little bit about like the what and what the what is and what it means and I don't know, all those things.
The what, as far as the what we're going to do to explain the what is talk about creating an image of success, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like. um, you did sports in cross country. I know I did this in wrestling. In cross country, do you ever visualize before your race? Just like
Um,
go off by yourself, think, or maybe you were big on instruments as well. Did you ever do that when playing an instrument?
a little bit. I was gonna say I sucked at cross country, not gonna lie. I was so slow. Um, but I mean I think that Um, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've definitely had like lots of. I mean, especially I think FitCon was like a big one for me. Like the physique show was definitely like one of those things where I think a vision was like a really important part, like aspect of it. Um, but no, like I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Like what kind of like visions did they, or like what kind of thing did they talk to you about or coach you on for like the cross country races?
So this wasn't so much. I did do this in cross country. I did this in every sport I participated in, but this was most prevalent for me in wrestling. So before wrestling, kind of for those of you who aren't familiar with wrestling or the process of high school wrestling or collegiate wrestling in general, um, basically what happens is before your weight class, so the meet is organized by weight class. They go in order of weight class, so usually starting lightest weight class to heaviest weight class. And so you have a pretty good idea of when your next match is going to be based on what weight class they call to the staging area, where they match you up with who you're going to wrestle, and then they send you out to the mat. And so, generally for me, probably about 3 or 4 weight classes before me, I knew I had about 45 to 30 minutes before my next match. So I would go off by myself, put some music on, and I would just mentally prepare myself for that wrestling match. And the most effective mode of doing this was visualization, visualizing myself in the match, wrestling that individual, the moves that I wanted to do, but very importantly, visualizing myself winning.
Hmm.
So visualizing myself having won. That way I could have seen and to an extent felt like what it was like to win that match. And then that becomes a driving factor within the wrestling match itself.
Hmm.
Okay.
Actually, I really like that. Well, because like I think that like one of the things that like I mean the thing that really jumps out to me is like visualizing winning. Um, because like I don't know. I mean, it's just like one of the things I think about is that like I feel like we as human beings we're very I mean, sort of like adaptive thinkers, but like, I mean, I think we instinctively think on the fly. Like, if you've ever like had to do like a work training where they're like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And it's like a huge long list of like all the things that you're not supposed to do and all the things that you are supposed to do. But like when you actually get on the job site, it's like literally like, okay, just use your intuition. Like, is this a stupid idea? Yeah, okay. So I'm not going to do that. So like I mean we're instinctive thinkers, we think on the fly, and I feel like it's like I mean that makes a lot of sense just because it's like if you have an image of like you know this is what it's going to look like, this is how I'm going to get, or not like necessarily how I'm going to get there, but like this is like how it's going to feel, and like how, this is how I'm going to be connected to this specific event and situation. I feel like it's really easy for us to like be able to connect the dots a little bit, because I mean if we have one point here and one point there, like I feel like it's so much easier to just kind of like instinctively kind of get manipulate, move things around, get things to where they need to be, and then like rather than like, oh hey, like this first step I'm going to like perfectly do this thing or that thing, and if that doesn't go like according to plan, then you're like screwed, like the way I see it is like let's say you have like a month, um you have like a month to get to a certain weight goal. I don't know, maybe this is a bad idea actually, or a bad example, but I don't know. Like actually, you know what, I concede the floor. Joe, take it away.
No,
Before I say something stupid.
I see where you're going, Nia. I see where you're going, and um, I think some people, I won't say most people, I think some people don't quite grasp the concept of how powerfully the brain can create feeling based on memory. So if you've won before, then your brain is able to hold on to that feeling. And then when you need to bring that feeling back, say in a visualization session, you're able to do that. You're able to relive that kind of feeling, but in a new position. So in a new environment, you're in a new place wrestling. You've won this match, and now you again feel that feeling of victory, and you desire that again, right?
Yeah.
Um, and this is something that I've seen and experienced in other sports as well. In track, I would do the same thing. Visualize myself on the track, um, pacing myself. I had kind of a system on how I would run it. And so, visualizing that, visualizing myself crossing the finish line, things like that. And then, if you've ever seen the Winter Olympics, there's a skier, Lindsey Vonn. I can't remember her last name. Maybe
I think it
you
was
remember
just
her last
Lindsey
name.
Vonn, right?
Lindsey Vonn, yeah, Lindsey Vonn. Anyway, I remember very explicitly. There was I believe it was the Winter Olympics. She got gold in the ski slalom, and there was a part where the camera panned over to her, and she was sitting there. She's just sitting there, and she was just like had her eyes closed, and she looked like she was like pretending to like ski in place.
Hmm.
And I knew exactly what she was doing in that moment. She was visualizing herself on, the course. And so this is a concept that's not new. This is a very widely known, very widely used concept. Between professional athletes, weightlifters, things like that. And so I feel like visualization is a good tool people can be using, and it's a good concept that you can incorporate into your goal setting, and the steps that you take to help you to reach those goals.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I actually think that's like really cool. I don't know, just the thought of being able to like, I mean, almost even down to the standing on the podium thing. That's like, I
Yeah,
imagine that was probably something that was going on through her head. It's like this is what exactly how I'm gonna do it. I don't
it's
know,
the
that's really
exact
cool.
same thing before a finals match, or state in track. At the last race, you visualize
Midterm.
yourself. Yeah, midterm before a midterm, right? Visualize yourself on top of that podium. For those of you who have, goals related to your body composition, visualizing yourself, with that ideal body type, right? What you think you might look like.
Just go like, go Google like 8-pack abs and just like
There you go.
paper mache yourself together. Like
Don't
that's
even stop at 8-pack. Go
oh,
to
there you go.
12-pack,
12-pack.
16-pack,
I love it.
32-pack, however many packs you want.
It'll be great.
Um, yeah, I totally get you. So now that we've talked a little bit about the what. We've talked a little bit about creating yourself an image of success, what it might feel like, what it might sound like and look like. Um, Nate, how would you talk about going about those goals, the how to all this,
Um
connecting the why and the what?
yeah. So I think, I mean, a lot of it does well, a lot of it hinges definitely on the proof of, well, just the foundation that you've laid already. Like, I think if you try to jump into the how with a weak why, then you're in hot water. Um just because, everything that you do in the how is like based on your why and your vision and all those kinds of things. And so, like, I mean, I think that there's definitely that. So I think, like, once those two things are in place, a lot of it comes down to just how you reinforce your goals. Um, so, like, I mean, I think, if the first, two things are kind of like your intrinsic motivation, like this is what I care about, this is what I want, this is, you know, what really matters to me. Um, I think that the how sometimes can really just come down to like how you extrinsically motivate yourself. Um, and I think in a lot of situations that means that, like, well, for some people it's like, oh hey, like I'm gonna make it to my cheat day, and then like I'm gonna freaking eat whatever I want. It's gonna be the greatest day ever. Um, and I think that like um or whatever, like I think sometimes like and I think for some clients that you work with that will definitely be a thing. But I think a lot of it like will come down to like also finding rewards and situations and kind of um yeah, just kind of like almost prizes that you can give yourself that are sometimes a little bit separate from what you're trying to do. Because like if everything's tied to food or everything's tied to working out, then it becomes like a source of stress, I think. And so sometimes it's like, hey, like if I accomplish this goal of like, oh, I hit like 175 or I deadlifted 400 pounds today or whatever, um, then like, maybe apart from something that's like, oh, hey, now I can go out like go eat like a box of donuts or something like that. It's like, oh hey, like I'm gonna buy this like expensive thing that I've been looking at like for a while, or like trying to find kind of like other sources of um not necessarily fulfillment, but more like just like enjoyment that are not necessarily connected to your goal. Because I think that it's important to have those kinds of things, maybe on kind of a smaller scale. Um, but it also it leads to kind of undermining sometimes, like the whole purpose for which you're doing something in the first place.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think I understand what you're saying. And so I feel like as I was listening to you, I feel like having those extra items of you didn't want to use the word fulfillment, but we'll use the word fulfillment for now.
Yeah,
That's honestly that's the closest word that can come to my mind right now. But I feel like
yeah,
those things kind of help us not necessarily get too burned out,
yeah,
because some goals it's hard. It's you can't say that a goal will be smooth sailing,
mm,
right? You're never going to go straight from point A to point B without taking two steps forward and one step back, or one step forward and two steps back every now and again, right? And
yeah,
so having some extra things along the way will help to give you that a little bit of push, a little bit of drive. Make the journey a little bit more enjoyable rather than arduous or um, something you dread.
yeah.
And so yeah, so that's some really great advice. Now let's talk a little bit about something that can help our how. I'm sure most people have heard the acronym SMART goals, right? So Nate, do you remember what SMART goals stands for?
Specific, measurable, attainable. It's not reachable. And time bound.
I think
There's
it
an
is
R in there
reachable
somewhere.
actually.
Is it really reachable? I thought attainable was like A. So like,
Specific, measurable, attainable.
oh
I don't know
shoot.
why I'm having a hard time with
Well,
R.
so to be honest, I put this on there because I thought it was kind of cliche. Because I think that sometimes, I think here's my thought. This is if I was wearing a suit and tie, I'd throw the tie over my shoulder. Um, but I think that sometimes the whole I kind of I roll my eyes at acronyms a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's just not how I learn. But I don't know. I mean, I think more kind of on touching on kind of the how side of things. I was actually thinking about this kind of in kind of a different paradigm from kind of the more like, oh hey, we're reinforcing things, but also just the basic understanding. So like I'm talking like if someone um if someone's coming in and saying like, oh hey, like what am I, I have my why and my vision and I have all those kinds of things, but now it's like, what do I do? Like what do I do to kind of get there? And I think both as a trainer, when it's like, hey, I want to take someone to the next level for their goals, and also just kind of walking into the gym, it's like, hey, like what do I see some people running on treadmills over there. I see some other people like I think knowledge is a huge, huge, huge part of it. Um, in both parties, in both camps, because um, the more you know, obviously, the more you're able to kind of like efficiently get to where you want to go. But that being said, like I think, um, like I mean, I think one of the things that's like kind of that part of that paradigm is like understanding how to find the best sources of knowledge and how to sift through the bull crap to find like what's really going to get you what you need to know. Um, and so I don't know. I was kind of curious to know, like, especially like for you, Joe, like when you very first started off and you were like, I don't know what I'm doing at all. Like, I'm just kind of rolling with it. Like, what were like your very first kind of initial ways of finding knowledge? And then, like, how did you, I don't know, kind of refine that technique of like finding knowledge and understanding it like better or whatever?
So when I first was, so specifically when I was first getting certified as a trainer, obviously there's this entire uh, new avenue of information and knowledge that you're being introduced to, and that ranges from program design to nutritional counseling and knowledge, exercise science, other types of concepts, conceptual things with fitness. Um, functional training. So there's just sometimes it's just a lot. You kind of wonder what's most important. What do you need to learn first? I actually at that point in my life, excuse me, I was listening to, I listen to them. I don't really read books very much. I listen to them. So just fun fact. Audiobooks, Audible, great. They're not sponsoring us, but I'll give them a shout out.
And
But
Raid Shadow Legends.
that's right. And Raid Shadow Legends. That's yeah. I don't know if that. I don't
Please
know if we can do
sponsor
it.
us.
Yeah, please sponsor us. I need to sponsor a lot of people right now, but we'd love to be added to that list. Why not? Anyway, I was listening to a book and it was called The One Thing. I can't remember for the life of me who the author was, but something that helped me while I was trying to navigate all these different avenues of information, all these different concepts and topics. I had to focus on the one thing that was most important to me. Okay, so I decided that what I wanted to do was I wanted to focus to learn, and my goal was to learn about the one topic that was most relevant to me. Okay, and so at the time in my mind, that was the topic I felt least comfortable with, which happened to be nutrition. So interesting enough. So I decided to learn a little bit more about nutrition first. And so as I was learning about nutrition, eventually I felt really comfortable with it. Then I decided to focus on the next, topic that I felt least comfortable with, and that happened to be just the overall exercise science of it. The science of how the muscle develops, hypertrophy, functional aspects of muscle training, things like that. So that was how I navigated that. But I feel like that concept is really important for goal setting in general, or for goals in general, because when people tend to set goals, I know a lot of people who set 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different goals, and they're like jumping, goal A to goal C to goal G to goal Z. They're jumping around all the time, and they're trying to divvy up all this time and all this effort and energy into all these different goals that they have set. When in reality, you need to ask yourself, do I want to do one goal really, really well and reach that goal in the quickest, most efficient way possible? Or do I want to set all these, different goals and either not reach them at all, or reach them, but in kind of a not really great way, not really timely manner, And so I feel like that one thing is a concept that's really helped me in my goal setting.
Yeah. Well, it's just kind of like sort of like prioritizing what you feel like the information is that's going to get you like the farthest according to what you feel like is most important in whatever context that is,
Yeah,
right?
and sometimes it comes back to the why, right? When you ask why this, and then you ask why that, and then you go deeper with why that, type of thing. And that's how I more or less found my one thing that I needed to become more familiar with before I jumped to the next thing.
Yeah. So how did you find out about nutrition then? How'd you learn?
So it was in my course, my
Oh, okay.
personal trainer course. So
That
yeah,
helps.
fortunately, yeah, I had the information available to me, and so it was just a matter of which aspect of that information I wanted to like focus
Yeah.
on. And so
So paint me a picture then. Let's say like I don't have a personal training course, or I don't I'm too old to go to college, but I still want to get freaking jacked and show off to my friends how jacked I am. How am I going to learn what I need to know?
Well, first off, there's asking a personal trainer, going to a gym and asking a trainer. I mean,
There's the
no
plug.
trainer, yeah, no trainer's going to turn you away. If you just go to a gym and be like, hey, I just have few questions. What can I do to get to here? They're going to be like, oh, well, obviously they're going to be like, well, if you work out with me, we can talk more about it, or if you sign up for my training, talk more about it.
Why don't you
But
freaking know, man?
yeah, just sometimes you gotta milk trainers, and sometimes trainers like to be milked a little bit. right? They like to knowledge flex a little bit on people. But as far as if you don't really have access to a trainer, um, that's a kind of a hard question to answer, just because there are a lot of different sources you can go to for that.
Yeah.
As far as nutrition is concerned, I, within my training course, have been um, commanded to direct people to choosemyplate.gov. So
Oh, there you go.
there are sources that I, as a trainer, have been um, uh, told that I should direct people to, as far as relevant information, up to date.
Hmm.
But yeah, Google, it can be a difficult place to navigate. That's
Yeah.
true.
Well, and I'm also throwing this out because, hey, maybe this is just a plug for the next episode that we'll do, because that's actually one of the topics that we want to get into in further depth. Is kind of like the process of kind of like narrowing down information or stuff like that. But I was just kind of curious to know, like, I don't know what your thoughts were on it, because I mean, to be honest, like, if we're being completely honest out there, like, there's about a million different people trying to get your attention about like what's the best way to do your workouts, your nutrition, your rest, and recovery and stuff like that, like your supplementation. And I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of bull crap out there. There's like a lot of stupid stuff and like
It's
stuff
true.
and stuff that, like, especially if you know what you're talking about, like you just like you have to keep yourself from just rolling your eyes like all the time. Like, oh my gosh, like there's so many we see so many stupid things in the gym too. Like
Yeah.
there's like especially ab workouts or like, oh my gosh, there's like so much fun. So like I don't know. I think that like it's one of those things that I think really factors into I mean, tying back into kind of the how. Like I think that um both as like a trainer, um and also just as someone working out, like it's kind of your responsibility to be able to not only like, obtain the how, obtain your like, oh hey, like what's my process, what's my program, what are the things I'm doing, what are the steps I'm taking, but also it's like you also need to understand the process to find more information about what is most important for your one thing, like Joe is saying, because um there's going to come a point where you only know so much about one specific thing. Like let's say I want to get really really good at power cleans, but all I've ever learned how to do is do like, you know just like bodybuilding stuff. Like how am I going to be able to find out like exactly what I need to do to have like a perfect form on a power clean, and like what kinds of things do I need to do to be able to like sift through the bull crap? First of all, you'll sift through most of it by just getting rid of the fact that by not looking for bodybuilding stuff, but also like what's going to be a legit source, what's not, like how are you going to be able to know um what's appropriate for your situation and like your level of experience. um I had the other day I had a client who was like, I think I said this. I don't know. I might have said this last week, but like she was saying there was some guy that like told her that she should only like squat in like either barefoot or in Converse or something like that. And I was like, she's like squatting like at most like 25 pounds on each side. I was like, this guy, like whoever was telling her this, like had not necessarily the best understanding of where her activity level was and like all those kinds of things. So I don't know. I just think
Mhm.
it's an interesting thing, and I think that like um I think that the process for finding information, finding your how, um is just as important as actually having it and integrating it with like everything else that you've done.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. And some of the things that you were saying kind of reminded me. Sometimes you gotta kind of dabble, a little bit into, as far as sifting through, what works best for you, what doesn't really work. Sometimes you'll learn best by trying it. Now you do want to be careful, because some things people tell you to do can be dangerous, right? Some people have very, they swear that when you do a squat you have to get as low as you can possibly go. You have to rub your butt on the floor to get a good squat. Now I don't agree with that. Right now, that's something that can cause for injury, and so you do want to be careful. That's why it's good to have just kind of a generalized knowledge of um, what's good, what's not so good, and that'll kind of help you to sift through, the overall crap versus the stuff that can be potentially helpful for you. But in some cases, when it could be A or it could be B. Sometimes you just got to try both of them out a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah, like, and actually, one of the things I think about a little bit is that, like, I think maybe one of the things that you could kind of adopt as a little bit of like um almost like a moniker for like what you're trying to do is it's kind of like within construction. You got the saying, always measure twice and cut once. Um, and in a fitness industry, that could mean like, okay, like look up two sources of like what kind of exercises you should be doing, then try it out. Um, and test out like what feels good and what feels not so great. Um, there's a big um I mean, there's definitely a paradigm of like knowledge of like, oh hey, like here's this PubMed article that says that like, going full range of motion on your bicep curls is good. But then you also see like or that you can only get like, the most out of your bicep curls if you're doing full range of motion. But then you see like Phil Heath getting ready for the Mr. Olympia and he's doing like quarter reps, but like the pump is like so ridiculous. And so there is kind of a give and take between the two sides of things to kind of not only find, and this is the thing that's real great about fitness, is that it's not so much about, I mean, it is, there are some things that are in exact science. um like there's some things where it's like, hey, you don't want to do certain things to hurt yourself, or to, keep away from these specific things or whatever. um but at the same time, it is also finding what's best for what you care about most and what your goals are. um and so like, hey, like it's like, hey, this feels really good, and like I feel like I get a lot out of what I'm doing here. Then like, that is almost a better thing than if you have some professional saying, oh, you should only be doing this thing or that thing or the other thing based on my like 15 years of, you know whatever, like,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I think that there's a lot to be said and about like all those kinds of things. Like a lot to be said about like the balance between knowledge and experience, and the balance between how you approach your situations, um, and determine what's best for you and what you don't do. Um, but I think for like, I don't know, for the sake of time, I'll just keep it at that. That like, there is like
Yeah.
just stating that there is like a paradigm to find. There is something that you need to kind of like a nice balance to find in between those two. Um, and it will never really be all one or all the other. It's always going to require a little bit of both.
Right, I understand it, and I love that analogy you use. Measure twice, cut once. There's a lot to be said for if you find a source, you find a concept that you want to try, you're not sure about. Um, Try finding more sources for that concept. See what two, three, four other people say about it. Don't always settle for one source for something. Right?
Yeah.
Look for at least three. I would say three is probably a pretty safe number. Would you agree? Three,
Yeah.
maybe four.
Yeah. I would
Probably
say,
depends on the concept.
yeah, and it kind of depends too. Like, so, like, for instance, like, I mean, the reason I also say all this is because, like, I started off not knowing anything at all. I was just like, I want to just get freaking jacked, man. This is gonna be awesome. Um, and so, I started watching a YouTuber called Scott Herman. A lot of, I don't know, some of you guys might have heard of him, but Scott Herman Fitness, and he would, you know, it's really funny because like the first ones that I was always watching, they were from like 2006 or something like that, and he'd always make like a follow up video that was like, "What I was saying in that video was totally wrong. Totally ignore it." Um, um, but like I started off there, and what I would do is I would watch like two or three of his videos on like one thing, and then I would go try it out, and then I'd come back like the next time it was like leg day or next time it was arm day or whatever, and I would say, "Oh, hey, like this thing really worked for me. This thing really didn't work for me." Um, and or whatever. And then as time went on, I was like, oh, okay, let's keep on branching out, finding more sources for things. And I feel like that really started to kind of help me like hone things a little bit, um, and kind of get multiple takes on things because I was able to kind of measure people's opinions with my own experience. And I feel like that really helped me like kind of establish like a really good image of, coming back to vision, I guess, a really good image of what like a specific exercise should look like and feel like, and what kinds of results it should kind of get me for the kind of effort I put into it.
Right, I understand. So Nate, we have just less than a minute left of time. If you were to wrap up, kind of everything we said, condense it into like a minute or two, can you do that for me?
Yeah. So I just say to kind of condense things that like when you're starting off with your why, well, or no, sorry, let me backpedal. Um, Goal setting comes down to three things: your why, your what, and your how. And to start off with your why happens when you ask why at least two or three times, and really get to the heart of the issue. Um, for your what, the what really comes down to your vision. Building a vision of what it's going to look like to win at your goals and what success is really going to feel like and look like. And then with your how, it all comes down to not only understanding your knowledge, but also giving yourself reinforcement along the way to help you out when things are not necessarily as emotionally motivated as they were when you started off.
Right. Perfect. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you, Nate. That's our take on goal setting. Hopefully you were able to get a little something out of that, help you with your goals, help you as a trainer to help your clients reach their goals. But that's our experience, and that's what we want to leave with you today. Thank you for coming. Nate, is there anything you wanna say before we peace out?
Mm, Just keep it real, everybody. Keep on
Keep
giving
it
us
real.
feedback. Keep on
Okay.
giving us
Yes.
feedback on what the audience wants to hear.
Yeah.
What do you guys
Remember.
what are you guys having trouble with? We want to know.
Thank you. Yes, please. And remember that we've never done anything like this before. Neither of us. We're very new at this. You know, this type of atmosphere with videoing ourselves with a conversation and putting it on YouTube and stuff like that. So. If we seem a little all over the place, bear with us. We'll get better. We promise you that. Um, just please, just like Nate said, let us know what you wanna hear. Let us know what your struggles are. If you have comments on some things that we talked about, some comments on the whys, the whats, and the hows, maybe some things that have helped you. Same thing. Drop them in those comments. We want to read those. We want to see that. We want your guys' participation. We want your guys' take on these subjects, these topics, because it helps us out a
Yeah.
lot. And we're definitely open to learning more. We don't come into this podcast claiming to be professionals. We stated this in the first episode. We're not PhDs with 30 plus years of experience in this. We're more or less, like Nate said in the first episode, we're kind of just like two guys, right? Who've decided that this is something that we're passionate about and we want to help others with, in their journey, within this industry. And so bear with us. And if you have feedback, we'd love to hear it. We love to develop, we love to progress and learn more. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that it's like, I don't know, the more we get to know you guys and what you guys care about, I think the more fun we'll be able to have kind of
right.
hammering around on the points that we think are, I don't know, that everyone thinks are important. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So we appreciate everybody listening today. This is the Trainer's Digest. You heard it. My name is Joseph Fine,
And I'm Nate Clark.
and we will see you guys next week.
Okay. See you guys.